Welcome everyone to the 9th Annual SIMNA Awards ceremony. It is fantastic to have you all here with us as we celebrate the great work that's being done across Australia to evidence social change. And before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the various lands on which we meet today, and also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Because we do have attendance today from across our great country, if you could please pop into chat what lands you're coming to us from today, that would be amazing. And while you're doing that, let me just tell you a little bit about the SIMNA Awards. Every year we are inspired by the efforts of leaders and learners across the sector as we strive to not only make a difference, but demonstrate that what we're doing is making a real, tangible difference in society. So for those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Benjamin Jardine. I'm going to be kicking proceedings off today, taking over this year from our co-chair, Simon Feivel, who many of you will know very well and is enjoying a well-deserved break from hosting the awards this year. I've been delighted to be a director of SIMNA for over 4 years now and have been with SIMNA since its early days, joining as a founding member. In my day job, I'm the CEO of the Type 1 Diabetes Family Centre, which is a non-profit service provider here in Western Australia. And what I've always loved about SIMNA is that it's a network that connects theory and practice. And as a non-profit CEO, I love to hear directly from other organisations who are making this social impact measurement thing work to drive real change. Which leads me to talking very quickly about SIMNA. And if this is your first contact with SIMNA, then welcome. We're a bit of a unique beast in Australia. Yes, we're a knowledge sharing network for social impact measurement, but really importantly, we're a diverse network that brings together not only social impact measurement practitioners, but everyone who's needed to make social impact measurement a true part of the Australian landscape. Whether that's funders, policymakers, service providers, consultants, and anyone else interested in the space. Our purpose is to rapidly connect the ideas, people, and resources that drive positive social and environmental impact into the core of organisations and decisions. So our job isn't just done by talking about social impact measurement. It happens when we connect everyone needed to drive social impact measurement right down to the core of what we do. And our SIMNA Awards are such a brilliant opportunity to celebrate organisations that are doing this work right now, leading the way in Australia. So let me give you a quick rundown of today. First off, we're delighted to open today's awards with an address from the Honourable Dr Andrew Leigh, Assistant Minister for Competition, Charities and Treasury. And then we're going to go into an amazing interactive panel session, which will be led by SIMNA Board member Aden Date. So yes, awards regulars, you don't have to put up with me as panel host this year. Then we'll move into a short comfort break before we head into the main event, a presentation of the 2023 awards, led by SIMNA co-chair Sarah Barker, and including video pictures from this year's 12 finalists. Just before we kick off with a message from Minister Leigh, let me introduce you to Laura Glynn, SIMNA's amazing executive officer and the person that truly does keep the SIMNA machine humming. Laura is going to run us through some housekeeping before we kick off. Laura.
Thanks, Benjamin. I'm joining today from the lands of the Turrbal and Yagara people up here in Brisbane. I'd like to pay my respect to their elders past and present. Just a quick bit of housekeeping. You should all have joined the meeting on mute and with your videos off, so please do keep them off during the ceremony and only turn them back if you're invited to speak for any reason. As you will have seen when you joined, the session is being recorded and will be shared after the ceremony. And we'll welcome questions for the panel during the panel discussion, so please pop those into the chat. And I also just wanted to share, this is my second year of working on the awards, and I continue to be so impressed by the standard of the applications, in particular the creativity and diversity of social impact measurement work that's going on throughout Australia. And I just want to share my own personal thanks to everyone who I've worked with on the awards over the past few months. It's been a real team effort. So all the judges, the sponsors, SIMNA board members, and to Lisa, who's been helping with all the socials, the website copywriting, videos, and all the beautiful slides that you can see today. So our virtual venue is going to be open for the next 2 hours. So get comfortable, grab yourself a drink to toast this year's Social Impact Superstars. Back to you, Benjamin.
Brilliant. Thank you, Laura. One final thing before we do get moving. These events just don't happen without the generous support of our sponsors. And I'd really like to thank the Department of Social Services for coming on as our platinum sponsor in 2023. We just can't do what we do without this kind of support. And it's amazing to have the department behind us as we celebrate social impact measurement practice across Australia. And it's also an opportune time to thank our other award sponsors who contribute so generously to making this event the great celebration that it is. So thanks to Clear Horizon, SBA Consulting, Urbis's Social and Economic Advisory Unit, and Smarty Grants. It's thanks to you that we get to do this, and we're so incredibly grateful. But now it's time to get started, and to that end, I'm delighted that we have a special video introduction from the Honourable Dr Andrew Leigh. The Honourable Dr Leigh is Assistant Minister for Competition, Charities and Treasury, and the Federal Member for FENA in the ACT. Prior to being elected in 2010, Andrew was a Professor of Economics at the Australian National University, and he holds a PhD in Public Policy from Harvard, having graduated from the University of Sydney with first-class honours in Arts and Law. Andrew is a past recipient of the Economic Society of Australia's Young Economist Award and is a Fellow of the Australian Academy of Social Sciences. So without further delay, let's hear from the Honourable Dr Leigh.
G'day, my name's Andrew Leigh, the Assistant Minister for Competition, Charities, Treasury and Employment. I'm speaking to you today from Ngunnawal land. Daranuna, Daranunawal, Yungu, Nalamanyan, Dunimanyan, Ngunnawalwadi, Dowdawadi, Dindi, Wangaralin Jinyin. And I'd acknowledge all other First Nations people present. Thank you to the Social Impact Measurement Network Australia for inviting me to speak today. I'm really sorry I can't be there to join you in person. And I want to thank Minister for Social Services Amanda Rishworth for giving me the opportunity to speak on her behalf today. We gather to celebrate your commitment to measuring social impact, a critical component to achieving strong outcomes for Australian communities. As leaders and nominees, you're at the forefront of this frontier. The SIMNA Awards have been running for 9 years now, and as the Australian Government, we're proud supporters again this year. The Australian Government's placing a greater focus on outcomes, partnerships, innovation and investment to bring about significant change in the way we deliver services and achieve outcomes for Australians who are experiencing disadvantage. We're moving away from a top-down approach and embedding social impact and partnerships with communities at the heart of our investment decisions. The Targeting Entrenched Disadvantage package, being led by my colleagues, the Minister for Social Services and the Treasurer, is a clear example of government implementing place-based and impact investing programs utilising this approach. The initiatives within the Targeting Entrenched Disadvantage package, as well as other innovative programs that set out to disrupt and tackle the intergenerational cycles of disadvantage, are in part made possible because of the emerging field of social impact measurement and the evidence base it helps build. The government really values SIMNA's work in fostering and promoting social impact and social impact measurement in Australia. And tonight we're here to recognise the champions of social impact measurement in Australia. But as the saying goes, you can't manage what you can't measure. And that's why the Australian Government is committed to improving the quality of evaluation across government, establishing the Australian Centre for Evaluation in Treasury. We need to measure what matters, who it matters to, and figure out what works. The opposite's also true. We need to figure out really early what's not working so we can stop it and try a different approach. None of this can be done without effective measures, robust data sets and ongoing research. I'm a strong advocate of randomised policy trials and will be conducting a range of randomised trials through the Australian Centre for Evaluation. Measuring What Matters is Australia's first national wellbeing framework that will track our progress towards a healthier, more secure, sustainable, cohesive and prosperous Australia. It's a living framework that will evolve and improve over time to reflect ongoing feedback from the community. New research, improved data availability, and changing community views. Built on the principles of social value, we'll be able to truly try, test, adapt, and learn. We'll be able to work towards ingraining wellbeing at the core of the work that government does. Thank you again for inviting me tonight, and congratulations to all the nominees and the winners.
Thank you so much to the Honourable Dr. Leigh there. I think that introduction just really highlighted how far social impact measurement is coming in Australia. So amazing to hear government talking about moving this to the core of how we move forward as an Australian society. So thank you again, Dr. Leigh. And obviously none of this has been possible without extraordinary conversations, collaborations and partnerships across the sector. So now it's my delight to move on to some of that conversation. And I'll do that by introducing Aden Date, a SIMNA board member and independent social impact consultant specialising in the arts and cultural sector. Aden writes Measuring the Immeasurable, a Substack about the evaluation of culture and the culture of evaluation. Aden's job today is to facilitate what looks to be an amazing panel, and while I'll let him do the full introductions, I'm delighted to have on our panel Anthony Cavanagh, Ganbina CEO and a Philanthropy Australia board member, Kathy Richardson, Executive Director of Our Community, and Siobhan Henderson, Strategy and Impact Manager at Australian Unity. Aden, over to you.
All right, folks, it's a pleasure to be here, and we're in for a really spicy, interesting panel today. And I thank you, Benjamin, for stewarding this last year. I'm delighted to step into your very big shoes. Just a reminder for our audience, we have muted your voices, but we have not muted your fingers. So this is an interactive panel. And if you think of any questions that you want to ask of the panel, just drop them straight into the chat and they'll be fed through to me to address the panel. Now, I want to give an extended introduction to each of these fantastic people. So firstly, Anthony Cavanagh is a Taungurung person from Victoria. He became the CEO of Ganbina, a regional Aboriginal corporation focused on generational change in 2013. Before that, he held senior management roles with Chandler McLeod Group and Work Trainers, and has 30 years experience in training, operations and community services in both the private and public sectors. He has a diploma of business and is an alumni of the Williamson Leadership Program, Melbourne Business School's Murrah Program, Stanford University's Business School, and is a former member of ANZ Bank's Indigenous Advisory Council. He has 2 daughters, 4 grandchildren, and is actively involved in his golf club. So living and breathing community. Next up, we have Kathy Richardson. She's a self-described grants nerd, and we do love those, who serves as the Executive Director of Our Community and the group's Chaos Controller. And with 6 enterprises operating under Our Community, there's a fair bit of chaos to contend with. In 2014, she undertook an Eisenhower Fellowship, which kickstarted a many years-long odyssey exploring how to maximise grants funding by systematising and democratising access to outcomes evaluation. And so no doubt Andrew Leigh's address will feel like a delayed but worthwhile arrival given that mission. She, in 2021, helped launch the Smarty Grants Outcomes Engine, a tool designed to help funders and grant recipients categorise, track and better understand the outcomes of their work. She has a passion for equality and social justice and serves on the boards of the Women's Leadership Institute Australia and the Alliance for Gambling Reform. Last but certainly not least, Siobhan Henderson, who is the Strategy and Impact Manager at Australian Unity. She joined the company in 2013 with various roles across wealth, banking and group operations, and most recently played an integral role in the development of Australian Unity's Wellbeing Outcomes Measurement Framework. Launched in 2021, the framework seeks to apply a financial value to the social impact created by the company and is used by Australian Unity to report its social impact, shape strategic and investment decisions, and act as a benchmark for continuous improvement. So hopefully, having heard the wonderful stories of those 3 panelists, you're as excited to hear from them as I am. Now, our theme for this panel discussion is growing pains. as I was listening to Andrew Leigh's talk, I was thinking back to when I did my graduate certificate back in 2014, and social impact assessment was a really nascent field. And you know what? Now it's starting to feel like an adolescent growing some hairs in the wrong places. It's got all the adolescent problems. It's got an individuation problem. I don't know about you, but I see a lot of posts on LinkedIn these days explaining how social impact assessment is different to evaluation. I lazily call myself an evaluator to keep it simple. Reminds me a little bit of when my sister was in a band and tried to explain to me how indie folk and indie pop were very different things. There's a lot of experimentation as well. We've got a plurality of frameworks, approaches, theories, and methods at play. And above all else, or certainly there is also frustration. We're growing, but there is pain in the growing. So I've invited our panelists to explore this question, this emerging adolescence of social impact, with a simple question. What's one thing that you're excited about in social impact assessment, some growth, and what's one thing that you find challenging? So I'd love to hear from each of our panelists in turn, just a couple of minutes on this question, and then we'll open it up a little bit. So Anthony, would love to hear from you first. What's something you're excited about, and what's something that you think is challenging in social impact assessment?
Yeah, thanks, Aden. Just acknowledging Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people and the mobs for the lands we stand on today. Being a Turrbal person myself from Wurundjeri in Melbourne at the moment. Social impact and social evaluation, social programs evaluation has been a huge part of my CEO time at Ganbina and the 30 years I've been in the community, where I think the important part is that we need to understand that what we're doing is working, and we can only really do that by testing it. So there are a number of different evaluation tools that are available to us, but it's just been extremely important for us because it allows us to, when we arrive at the forks in the road, to change tact, understand what we're doing well and what we're not doing well. But also over time, things change. So information technology, for example, has changed a hell of a lot in the last few years. So these are just important things for us.
Beautiful. Thank you, Anthony. Kathy, would love to go to you next. What's some growth you see, and what are some pains that you see?
You all both at once, excited and then pain?
You tell me. I mean, if they feel integrated, like I got a bit of growth and pain in Anthony's IT response. So you've got creative license.
Right. Okay. Well, first of all, I should say I feel a bit humbled to be talking in front of an audience of experts in this field, because I'm definitely not. I describe myself as an enthusiastic amateur, and I was really happy to hear, Aden, your comment about confusion with labelling, because that's one of the things in this arena that I think causes some pain for those of us who are, don't have a degree in this area, don't work in day-to-day in this area, but actually are really interested in that question of what's working, what creates positive change. So one of the things that I think has annoyed me for a long time, as long as I've been thinking about this question, which is probably about 20 years, is that this whole impact evaluation, if that's the right word for it, thing has been locked up, and it's always been seen as something separate from the work. And to me, those things should go together. If you're doing work, you should be interested in what's effect is being produced, but also you should know how to do that in a way that is, can give you some sound understandings. So the people funding that work should also be really interested in it. And as you said, Aden, I am really interested to hear Andrew talking about the evaluation unit. I know there's some controversy a little bit around whether or not that's going to be concentrating a lot on randomised controlled trials, but we're on the right path. People are actually talking about understanding more about the effect that all of these billions of dollars that we're throwing into social, economic, cultural, and I'm sure I've missed one, change, what effect they're producing. So one thing that I am excited about after all that negativity is that I think technology has finally reached the area where it can actually help. help us democratise access to the tools to track impact, but also the knowledge around it. So you can Google and learn, or do a short course or a uni course on any topic you like now. So that sort of knowledge is being unlocked more. You could spend your weekends learning about impact evaluation if you wanted, and trying to work out what all those terms mean. Tools like the outcomes engine that we've launched here at our community, which is built into Smarty Grants, is helping. The purpose of it is to help funders, the people giving out that $80 billion, more easily track the effect of their grants. And so I think that's been a really, and I know it's not the only tool out there, so the technology in that area has been really helpful. It's also, technology is making it much easier to build tools like outcomes framework generators and metrics libraries, and also to share those tools so that we're not all building our own framework and working out our own metrics, but, you know, that we can start to learn together a bit more and learn what works. And then there's great tools like Power BI and all those sort of, what do you call them, those data visualization tools that are really allowing us to unlock insights, because it's fine to get the data in and it's fine to get great data, but if you can't learn from it, then it's not much use to you. So that's what I'm excited about. And, you know, with the dawn, I don't know if it's the dawn, maybe the midday of AI, who knows where we're going to go next. Obviously that's scary, but it's exciting as well.
Great. I love any panel where we get into AI within 10 minutes of it starting. Like let's skip over the small stuff. Let's go big picture right away. Siobhan, would love to hear from you. What are you noticing in terms of growing pains?
Thank you, Aden. And I just want to, I hope everyone can see okay. I had a bit of a technology struggle in the beginning, so I'm on my phone. Yeah, so I guess I'm going to echo what Kathy said. Quite humbled to be here in the room with I suspect a couple of the people that I've worked with over the last couple of years on our community and social value framework. So worked closely with SVA on that. I think the best thing about the social value that we've been able to use and the framework is being strategically clear on what we're doing. So our CSV framework, as I said, developed with SVA, kind of highlights where there's opportunity for us to create social value as we embed it into our investment cases, our business cases. It's open doors for us to the capital market, where people are kind of willing to accept that there's a link between our desire to create social value as core to our purpose and then the financial returns that follow that. And not the other way around. So we've certainly been able to prove it's social value that underpins everything else, and not trying to retrofit a social value management to something that's sort of a preordained investment, if you like. And I guess one of the growing pains has been the lack of common frameworks to measure. And I know that that's a common thing that everyone brings up, but it's true. We can't benchmark easily or measure ourselves against anyone else. And I think that sort of comes with a lack of people being able to question us about it and really have a really good, robust discussion on it, which I'm sort of looking forward to today, because people don't understand necessarily what we're doing, because not enough people are sort of applying a good framework to do so. So I'm grateful that we sort of had the foresight to partner with SVA to build something, and hopefully people do get an understanding. So when I go to investor meetings or anything, people can stop asking me about E all the time and move on to the S.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wonderful. I just want to remind everyone in the audience, this is interactive. So if you do want to ask a question, please just hop in. And for our panelists, as we open it up now, I'm keen for it to be a conversation as much as possible. So don't feel you need to treat me as a referee. If someone says something you're interested in, feel free to just jump right in. I think that's the best way to get to the juicy stuff. I do want to open it up, Anthony, by going to you, because I know when I first studied social impact assessment, one of the great promises was this idea that we would identify what works and we'd be able to replicate it. And my understanding is Ganbina is a bit of a success story in that regard, that your model is being replicated elsewhere. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about that, and I suppose how you demonstrated your impact with enough rigor for it to be something that people were keen to replicate.
That's a great question. That's got a million answers. Look, we started off with the significant disadvantage in the community that we operate in, which is Shepparton. So we started to look at government-funded programs at the time that were having minimal or little impact for change, and then built our own program. But one of the early decisions that we made that it'd take a long time to have the impact for social economic change and the prosperity for Aboriginal young people and families. So we set about on a 50-year, 2-generational journey of change. So the organisation's motto is Agents of Change. But to know that we're on the right track, we had to look at what was available in the marketplace in relation to monitoring and measurement tools, and we settled on the social return on investment because we understood, and so did our investors, that once we moved away from government some 20 years ago and become solely philanthropic and corporate funded, we needed to be able to prove that every dollar that was invested in the program for social outcomes was having the desired impact. Fortunately, we've been able to, and it's because we've been heavily evaluated. So as an Aboriginal organisation, to make that choice and have that sort of governance leadership, every 3 years, we've invited a third party to evaluate us since 2008. Yes, that has involved Social Ventures Australia a fair bit, but we've had PwC, we've had independent consultants. Recently, we've used CSI Swinburne, and at every 3-year juncture. So the recent one, funnily enough, is the 3 COVID years. So 2020, 2021, 22. And basically that tool that we used was just to go to community and get feedback. So our key stakeholders, and that just basically informed us about how we've gone recently, but what we needed to do in relation to change. And obviously everybody has lived through the COVID impacts, but we're sure that we've made a very sound business decision in having the program evaluated every couple of years. And that's attracted about $25 million in philanthropic investment since about 2008, which has helped us grow, helped us reach different markets, helped us test the model outside of Shepparton, so we can get to a point with our success that we can impact more kids, more families, and more Aboriginal communities.
Beautiful. One thing I love in that is that there's this grounding commitment in really wanting to know what you're doing is working. It feels like a little bit of a leap of faith. Like if we're really self-critical, we know we'll get better, and then that will bring in the support. But that makes me think, Kathy, if you're kind of your efforts and your interest in democratising outcomes assessment and democratising impact evaluation. I'd love to hear you speak a bit to, Anthony, having spoken about the importance of that external rigour. How do organisations make this an internal thing? How do organisations build their own capacity for social impact assessment and or evaluation?
It's a really good question, and it's one that I think about a lot, because one of the terrible lessons that I had in studying this topic over many years is that a lot of people actually aren't interested in the answer, what works. And that was a horror show for me to kind of realise that. It's always seemed to me like if you unlock the data and the insights, then we'll all progress and get along the way. But in fact, there's a whole bunch of forces impacting on the work that people are doing in the not-for-profit sector and beyond that actually work against people wanting to know what works. So not-for-profits can get punished if they actually reveal the truth about what's happened in a program that's being funded. So they're incentivised to showcase good news stories, not to showcase the truth or to showcase learning. So I don't know if I have the answer to your question, other than the more that funders are getting interested in this topic and actually wanting to know how much social impact they're buying, if you like, that sort of creates the levers for the people who are doing the work, doing the hard work, to actually understand more about what they're producing or what effect they're having. But really, that's something that troubles me. I don't think there are incentives for funders often to learn about what they work. They're actually also punished if they uncover rocks in the work that they're funding that show that something's not working. To me, if something doesn't work and you know why it didn't work and you can do it differently next time, that's a win. But that's not what happens in funder circles a lot of the way, particularly government funding, and that flows down to not-for-profits that are doing the work. So I don't know the answer to your question, but I think it's a really good question, and I think it's shifting anyway, but more slowly than it would have been if people were actually interested in the answer.
Yes. Siobhan, I'd love to hear, as someone working for an ASX listed company, I mean, that false incentives problem, certainly many of us feel that that's most characterised in the for-profit sector, where often there may be a tension between social value and financial value. I'd love to hear a bit about your experience kind of dealing with incentives and barriers to this kind of not just outcomes evaluation, but to what Kathy was saying, specifically to that idea of being self-critical about what's working. So what kind of barriers and incentives are you noticing in your context?
Yeah, I think, so for us, we're in our third year of reporting on social value, and we're kind of going through some of the other growing pains of getting the rest of the organisation to listen and go, what are you doing? And why do you need us to do this evaluation of our piece of work, our project, or something we're trying to implement? And it all comes from top down. So we had buy-in from our board, our directors. Australian Unity is a 180-year-old company. We've been going around for that long, sort of saying, we're really good at wellbeing, we're mutual, we know this, that, and the other. And the board said, oh, that's super cute, can you actually prove it? And that's why we came to SBA and started our modelling. So I think one of the hardest things for us was getting people on board with the idea that we're not trying to get you to sacrifice anything commercially. The social impact that you're creating actually underpins all of your financial returns. It's very much, if you build it, he will come. We play in the social infrastructure and health and human services space. So we have home care businesses, we have PHI, we have banking, and then we have healthcare property trust, which builds healthcare facilities and hospitals. So we look at things like where there's a hospital desert that needs one. It's sort of, you're not sacrificing anything. If there's social value there, people are going to use the surface. Like I said, if you build it, he will come. Getting people thinking about that, thinking they were going to sacrifice returns in the very beginning was quite scary, but then you turn it around and go, no, that's actually, if you chase that, the rest will follow. And it has, because now we've got capital markets opening to us. Westpac have recently embarked on a sustainability-linked loan with us. They gave us $50 million based on us growing our community and social value every year, which is underpinned by the SROI framework. So we're taking all these sort of incremental steps to prove this out, and getting our board on board, and then management to follow. It was like pulling teeth, I'm not going to lie, in the beginning a little bit, but we got them there eventually, and each year kind of proving that point.
Yep.
Oh, I think we've got someone unmuted. Go ahead, Siobhan. The floor is still yours.
No, that was kind of it. I think we took incremental steps and we just kept pushing at it, kept pushing and saying, this social value, it underpins everything. And, unfortunately, there are government systems out there in health and social infrastructure that are crying out for help. And whether or not you see it as taking advantage of them, it needs the support.
That makes me think, and I'll open this to anyone on the panel who wants to sort of reflect on this, that, part of what we're trying to do here at SIMNA is to connect people that are trying to advance social impact assessment in their organisations or as freelancers, because to what you're saying, Siobhan, this involves a lot of often uphill culture work. You really have to kind of advocate for it internally and see what it is you're aspiring towards. So for anyone on the panel, what's kind of sustained you as you're kind of doing this difficult self-critical journey that might involve changing how you're funding, how you assess yourselves, how you do strategy? What do you kind of do to stay sane?
if I can just jump in, just on the back of what was sort of said there before with Kathy, that which I was really surprised about, but the forces that are actually out there that really aren't interested in success or change or improvement or and all these sort of things is really interesting. It does exist, especially in the Aboriginal space, especially where there's a hell of a lot of government money that is funding programs and projects and has done for years and decades and all these sort of things. And what I've found, or what seems to be the case, and I can't talk about across the whole country, but in certain particular areas, that the money's not invested or backing organisations with track records that can actually prove what they're doing is working. And that is one of the biggest sort of cornerstones for Ganbina. You know, I can be the best orator in the world, and a lot of black fellas are, and they can tell you that green's black. But at the end of the day, if you can't prove it, backed up by data, backed up by third-party evaluations, I can do internal evaluations and talk about how fantastic we are till the cows come home. But at the end of the day, what we've got to be able to do is prove that with a track record. But that's the thing that attracts investment. But it isn't only about attracting investment. It's about actually sticking to what you're needing, sticking to what your strategic goals are, and ensuring that you're delivering your programs with the intent that you did for community. So I just wanted to go back a little bit on what was just said there in the last couple of conversations. It's one of the sticking points for me, and it exists in government, it exists in philanthropy, it exists in a number of different areas, which is really stunning to think that not everybody is rowing in the same direction.
Anthony, just to quickly follow on there, and then Kathy, I'd love to hear your reflections. Anthony, do you think it's changing with the Measuring What Matters framework in Andrew Leigh? Like, do you sort of see the ship kind of turning there, or is there still a bit of a gap between rhetoric and practice in terms of, you know, we fund what works, we fund based on evidence?
Look, it's all about opportunity. There was a report by the Social Centre of Impact out of Sydney in 2017 about Aboriginal organisations, and 104 organisations were reviewed, and only, I think, 8 of them had an external evaluation process. I mean, that's fairly damning, and I wouldn't suggest too much has changed in the time since. So we've just got to be better at what we're doing. But the key to the whole thing is, if you haven't got a strong evaluation process and you can't prove what you're doing is having some sort of impact in change, don't donate to it. Don't fund it. Unhitch the wagons. It doesn't matter how good your relationship is. If it's not effective, stop it.
I love that. It speaks to, and Kathy, definitely want you to jump in here, particularly given your organisation works with so many other not-for-profits, that there's this like real kill your darlings element to social impact assessment that maybe we don't talk enough about. So we talk about funding what works, but we're a little shyer about talking about defunding what doesn't. And if we're honest with ourselves, there's probably as much of the latter as there is of the former. So Kathy, would love to hear, you spoke a bit about funders needing to get behind this, but what reticence are you actually noticing from organisations themselves?
I'll just go back to your comment about kill your darlings. I think that's one of the problems that, like, you don't always have to kill your darlings. Sometimes it's just tweaking your darlings. And I think that's one of the things that that's a barrier to all of this, that this idea that if we uncover something that's not working that well, we're going to be defunded, the program's going to close down. And actually that's a well-founded fear a lot of the time. But in fact, if we could all adopt a learning mindset whereby it's a success if we learn and we edge along, then that would be better. That's probably a utopian kind of view. So in the real world, I think there is a bit more interest now in what works and in outcomes than there has been. I've been working in this arena for about 20 years now. So there's definitely that attitude is moving along. But what we're still seeing is that people get stuck. So you get that initial burst of enthusiasm, whether it's from a not-for-profit or it's from a funder that's funding a whole bunch of not-for-profits to do this work. And then they get stuck because it's hard, right? And then you get up against these language barriers and someone's telling you should be using an outcome's a domain and a domain's an impact. And all that sort of stuff makes people feel like they can't do it. We have to make this stuff make sense in the real world. And definitely, Siobhan, talking about the cultural shifts that you need to do within an organisation, that's a real thing as well. So all these things just have to be chipped away at. But I think those chips are happening. I think it's happening.
Yes, I love that phrase of tweaking your darlings. I mean, as someone who works in the arts and culture. To the metaphor. Yeah. I know. I'm a little worried about our darlings now. They're not being well treated regardless, but. Certainly in the arts and culture sector, I see a fear of it because they assume evaluation will mean they'll have to stop doing what they're doing. But, provided there's some security of funding and provided funders are as interested in the evaluation journey as they are in the outcome, which, as you say, Anthony, speaks to that need for a track record. You don't defund an organisation based on one evaluation not working. It's about that track record. Siobhan, I'd love to have you jump in. What's feeling prominent for you?
Ooh. In the how we're looking at our darlings, or
if we want to continue with the metaphor, but one thing I love that you said earlier was if you build it, they will come. So this idea that if you commit to outcomes assessment, you find an area where there's social value, you can commit to that, and then the funding and the support will come. Is it ever not worth investing in outcomes assessment? Is it ever worth not turning over that stone?
Certainly not at AU. And I've had the benefit of maybe I've become a little institutionalized. I've been here 10 years now. So I've worked quite closely with our leadership team on embedding this framework. And I think for us, it's always worth doing the evaluation. Because, we are behest to our members. So we want to know, and they want to know, that we're doing the right thing with their cash, and making sure that we're getting the best return. Obviously, it sits in parallel with, we're also a commercially driven organisation. We're not a not-for-profit. We are a mutual. So they sit parallel. But I think we don't have a strong hurdle in terms of what we're looking for in social return, but we do want to know that there is going to be some and that it's significant, and obviously some areas more so than others. We also embed it in all of our decision making. We're doing SROI training for people throughout the organisation so that we can make sure that the decision making is not just happening at that high investment level, it's happening day to day, and people are thinking about who are we partnering with to gather capital, and who are we partnering with to build things? Are we making the right decisions there? And who are they spending their money with, and how are they contributing? So we want to look at that entire value chain. I think it's really important, and it's probably the biggest struggle for us at the moment is getting that into the narrative of us as a business, because, like I said, people just continuously jump up and down about what are you doing with carbon? What are you doing to reduce waste? It's like, well, if you go and look at a lot of the Royal Commissions over the last few years, they've all been people related, people struggling with something, people struggling with the system. How come no one's jumping up and down and saying, well, how are you evaluating your social, the value you're creating? So I think it's always worth turning the stone over and just sort of managing what your expectation is going to be for each of those choices.
Beautiful. I just want to thank Sarah in the chat who said we can also pivot our darlings, which I think is, we've clearly run away with this metaphor, so let's keep at it. Folks, we're reaching near the end of the panel, so I just want to open up to maybe one more conversation before we get to our closing comments, which is, I'm certainly feeling like, I came in with a hypothesis, which is that social impact assessment is entering adolescence, and you've all validated that hypothesis with some really rich qualitative data. So as we kind of move into adulthood, I'd be keen for you to comment on one of two questions. So what's something that social impact assessment can maybe leave behind from its childhood? What's something that we've been doing that's maybe not quite working we can let go of? and maybe what's something we need to learn to mature into adulthood. So open to anyone for that, something we need to let go of from childhood or something that we might need to let in as we enter into adulthood.
I'd like to let go of the buzzwords.
Me too.
Acronyms.
It's blocking people out. And I'd also like to let go to a degree. This might be a bit controversial, but some of the purity. Like one of the things you asked before about how do you progress is you've got to kind of block your ears sometimes when you're doing this work to some of the troubles around, you know, is this really a pure outcome? Like we have to get more comfortable with knowing enough to move forward rather than trying to think that every piece of evaluation has to be absolutely perfect or it's not worth doing because that stuff's slow and hard and expensive. And if we wait for that for the rest of our lives, we'll never get anywhere.
And extending on that, I think being a little bit humble about it too. There is so much work out there to already use to measure. There's frameworks to use, and people seem to keep wanting to spend money reinventing the wheel on we have to have our own framework. We have to have this. There's so much out there, and you can cut 50 to 70% of your work out and move straight to being able to plug data into something. So, you know, the work has been done to measure. I think you might need to find something that suits you as a business, but you don't have to start from scratch, and we could all move a lot further along the journey if we sort of start halfway where other people have done the work and leverage off of that.
It certainly
And
speaks
what
to
comes
something.
into that's a cost
Go ahead,
effectiveness as well. It's just a saving if we're sharing and learning together rather than just in silos. So I think there's a fair bit to be learnt there too, because the amount of investment in all of the social programs, not only in this country but throughout the world, you know, it's tens of millions, billions of dollars. So surely there is some efficiencies there that can be made and redirect that money into, you know, better causes or opportunities.
Yeah, it might be a good time to bring technology back into the question, because I'd love to hear, maybe Kathy, we'll go back to you to elaborate a little bit on the top, the potential for technology to maybe lower the barrier to entry for outcomes assessment. Obviously, you've got a couple of platforms here, but what possibilities and affordances do you see with technology? And feel free to return to AI if you like.
Probably won't talk too much about AI because I don't know enough about the subject. But again, to democratise access to that, like things like ChatGPT, you can actually go in there and say, tell me some indicators that would tell me if I am achieving this outcome. Now, I don't know, because I don't have the work history for that, if they're good indicators that it pops up with, but that's really going to be helpful for a lot of people as we're going along. I'll let you in a little secret about technology. When we were building the outcomes engine, we got very stuck on this. It's really hard to build a tool to help people track social impact because you want something that can be used by everyone, but everyone actually does have a different context, and those contexts actually do really matter. So trying to standardise while at the same time making things loose enough that they actually work, so you're not actually just getting dumb answers in there, is really difficult. So my lesson on the technology front is to look for things that provide the framework and the scaffolding. If you go looking for the technological tool that actually provides you with the answer, I don't think that's out there yet. But maybe it will be, but I don't think it's out there yet. So find something that will help you get on the right path. And as I said, there's tools to help you share frameworks. Our tool does that. We're building a library of shared frameworks into the software so that you don't have to start from scratch every time. That also relies on people being willing to share them. But yeah, I don't know that you can go find the answers yet in technology, but just go find the technology that will help make it easier for you to speed things up and get the information in that you need.
It's certainly no fix for culture. And I do dread the day that funders drop two social impact reports into ChatGPT and say, tell me which one to fund.
I'm sure they will. I am absolutely sure they will.
They might have already tried that.
They're already doing it.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony, from your experience, maybe that's how they're doing it already. They're just putting websites in there and going, tell us which one we should give money to.
Aden, can I just say something again, a little bit controversial, but the answer that you get from ChatGPT might be actually better than the human answer. There's so much bias that goes into creating funding decisions, and so much unconscious bias that goes in there. We believe that you might get a more positive funding decision after the assessors had lunch, for example. So the machine might actually be more accurate. Just saying.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a text-based tool, right? At least ChatGPT, and that's what we're all producing with our enormously long impact reports. I'd love to hear how do we, and this might be a big question to close on, but maybe just some reflections from you on this, Anthony, because I think your Ganbina experience speaks to this, but balancing the kind of democratized social impact assessment day to day that we want anyone to be able to do without jargon, low cost, with the external evaluator, professional consultancy, really high levels of rigor. How do we strike that balance across the sector?
That's a really great question. It's no point if you're producing reports or information that nobody understands. So for us, we've taken a position, and even in the way that we've crafted our website, it's not targeting funders, it's targeting community. So we're very mindful of that, and even in the language we use in our reports or the reports that are produced on our behalf, it's not about dumbing it down, but it's absolutely no point if what we're trying to communicate is not understood. So we need to be very, we've always used a position where we're very clear about our intent, and it just depends on who the audience is.
Excellent. I feel that's a point that's so often missed in social impact assessment, that it is a communication tool. I sometimes describe myself as a translator, using the language of data to translate your impact. Folks, we're almost at time. I'd love just a quick wrap up. One thing that you think you can take away from this conversation, something you learned, or a leave behind, something, maybe an assumption that you came in with that you're challenging or questioning a little bit. Let's go with you first, Siobhan, then we'll move to Kathy, then Anthony.
Oh, pressure. Something I'm taking with me. Oh God, I'm stumped. Come back to me. Give me a second.
I love it. We've filled your brain so much. It's just full to the brim. Kathy, I feel you're not sure. You're a chaos controller, so you can handle this question out of the blue.
I've got a very quick one because I was blown away by Anthony's, 50-year, two-generation approach. You don't see that anywhere in... I was blown away by that, and I'll be taking that away, and I want to learn more about it.
I think that it's fairly obvious that there are a lot of similarities in the industry that we're in, and we're pretty much all in this together. We've got to understand, I think it was said before, not by me, but not everything works, and that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater or you defund or whatever. But I just think we've just got to get better at how we choose to fund things. And one of the things that really concerns me about where we're going is the mega rich, the uber rich, who can throw money at anything they choose because they choose to. My concern is that we need to, or those people need to try and ensure tipping their money into something that's making a difference, rather than I can just keep funding it because it doesn't matter whether it works or not. Well, it does matter. It matters to the consumers. It matters to the people at the other end that it's working, because they're thinking, or they're signing up for something that they want to work or they need to work. So that's something that really concerns me, because those people have the money or can invest to the levels that will make significant change to people's lives. So I just hope that they make great choices.
Thank you. Siobhan, you've had ample time to prepare.
I have. I think probably takeaway is we're all trying to move in the right direction on this, at least, you know, the people in this room are, and I think probably being a bit kinder to ourselves. It's so easy to get frustrated in the space with some of the growing pains that we've talked about. So I think being kinder, knowing that we're all moving in the right direction and giving ourselves a bit of credit for that as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. I love to end on a note of kindness. Thank you all so much for giving us your time and your critical insights today. Everyone in the chat, please just drop some words of praise in the comments thread. Our panelists have well and truly deserved it. And you've all helped me fall in love again with social impact assessment, which is really just a way of asking some very hard questions. I'm now going to hand back over to Benjamin Jardine, our MC and host, and he'll be leading us into a break. Thanks again to all of our panelists.
What an extraordinary panel. Thank you so much for helping us navigate our awkward adolescence. I, for one, will be looking forward to tweaking my darlings and considering whether I should bow to our AI overlords. It is most definitely time for a comfort break. We are on a tight schedule. We want to share with you all of the wonderful things that our finalists have done. So please, if you could return in 5 minutes. And Sarah Barker, our SIMNA co-chair, will be taking over for the second half of today to take you through all of the festivities. See you soon.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Sarah Barker, co-chair of SIMNA, working alongside our other co-chair, the wonderful Simon Fable. I've been on the SIMNA board since 2018. Outside of SIMNA, I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Smarty Grants, an enterprise of our community. And I'm coming to you today from our community house on Wurundjeri country and would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which I work and live. So it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Today we'll be presenting the awards for 3 categories: Outstanding Collaboration in Social Impact Measurement, Innovation in Social Impact Measurement, and Excellence in Social Impact Measurement. As part of this year's awards, we also promoted a Leading Funder in Social Impact Measurement award. This category has run for the last 2 years, adapted from the Effective Investment in Social Impact Measurement award in 2019 and 2020. It's consistently been the award, the category that receives the fewest applications. And unfortunately this year, we didn't receive enough applications to warrant a competitive awards process. So we're reflecting on why that might be and what we might do differently next year. And in any case, we'll be looking for ways to highlight great examples of impact investment in grants, investments, and social enterprise through case studies and events in 2024. Across the categories that we are awarding today, we saw 21 applications, which were expertly judged over 2 rounds of scoring. This took our finalists count down to 12 initiatives. And this year, across each of the categories, the scores were very, very close. They were so close that we've decided to award a winner and 2 runners-up in each category. We'll be presenting the runners-up in alphabetical order. So first up is the Outstanding Collaboration in Social Impact Measurement Award. This category will be presented by Jess Dart, Chief Evaluator and founder of Clear Horizon. Let's take a look at the pitch videos from our 3 finalists. So Monash Business School, NDIA and Red Kite.
My name is Ralph Kober. In this video, my colleagues from Monash Business School, Marlene Gong and Paul Thambar, and Emily Wild from the One Box will talk about our impact collaboration. The right to food is a basic human right documented in international human rights law. We know that food insecurity is a problem in developing countries, but are you aware of what the extent of food insecurity is in developed countries such as Australia?
The answer is in Australia, food insecurity is currently at epidemic proportions. The results of a survey we did in South Australian primary schools showed that 60% of households are experiencing various levels of food insecurity due to lack of finances to pay for fresh and affordable food.
Since 2020, The Monash Business School has collaborated with the One Box to evaluate the impact of their food program for families in need. We have conducted over 60 interviews with beneficiaries, school leaders and staff of the One Box to develop this social impact measurement framework. The framework has 3 dimensions: nutrition and well-being, community building and support, financial benefits, and related sub-domains.
Our collaboration with Monash Business School has brought a tremendous benefit to the One Box program for our learnings and continued drive for improvement. The social impact framework developed by the researchers from Monash Business School has allowed us to evaluate our performance and has provided a way to communicate the benefits of our program to external stakeholders, including donors. By working together, we have attained more financial support, allowing us to increase the families we help, thus helping to reduce hunger, improve the physical and mental well-being of beneficiaries, and work towards lifting people out of poverty.
At Red Kite, we're committed to a future where every family taking on the challenge of childhood cancer has the level of support they need. We're so pleased to be a finalist in this year's SIMNA Awards for outstanding collaboration. The voice of families is central to what we do at Red Kite, and on a daily basis, we're seeing families deal with the overwhelming nature of a child's diagnosis and the impact it has on the entire family during treatment and beyond.
Red Kite is committed to research and evaluation and the voice of children and young people with cancer and their families. We developed a new client outcomes framework in 2020 to accompany our theory of change and embed this across all of our evaluations. We developed this because we know that family needs change over time with the evolving healthcare system. This framework was developed in partnership with families who have lived experience, Red Kite team members and health professionals. The framework, which comprises of 4 outcome areas, leads to our mission to improve the quality of life for children with cancer and their families.
Hello everybody and welcome to the awards. It's lovely to be here, and I'm Jess Dart from Clear Horizon, the Chief Evaluator, and Clear Horizon is a new partner to SIMNA, so we're really excited about this, and it's my job to announce the winners, to give a small part of the judges' verdict on them. So with that, I will not hold anybody up because I know you're excited to hear who they are. So I'll hand over for the announcements.
So runner-up number 1, the judges' feedback was, I really love the extent to which different cross-sector stakeholder groups have been engaged in co-design process of the engagement framework. The submission demonstrates a strong focus on process and a commitment to ongoing learning to drive improvement.
And I can announce the first runner-up. So the first runner-up is the National Disability Insurance Agency for NDIS, co-design and developmental evaluation.
Awesome, thank you. My name's Elliot Tester and I'm here and it's my pleasure and privilege to accept this reward on behalf of all stakeholders who made this work possible. It's been my pleasure to lead the developmental evaluation of NDIS co-design, an opportunity to really ensure that crucial elements of the NDIS capture and reflect the voice of the disability community. And in the future, we look forward to sharing how this approach has led to more effective and appropriate processes for those accessing the NDIS. So thank you again to the judges and to SIMNA.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Elliot. So I can now announce the runner-up. So the feedback for this, the second runner-up was, congratulations on your client outcomes framework, on your co-design process. I loved how the voice of over 700 children and families impacted by cancer determined the 4 key outcomes you now assess against all of your work. And the second runner-up is Red Kite for multi-sectoral collaboration to develop a client outcomes framework. So congratulations, and I'll hand over to Joanne Cummings from Red Kite.
Hi everyone, I'm Jo from Red Kite. I'd just like to say thank you so much to SIMNA for putting on these awards and for recognising the importance of collaboration in social measurement, and of course to our sponsors Clear Horizon. Thanks for that. Redcoat's social impact journey has seen the organisation go from strength to strength, and it only seems like yesterday that we developed our first version of a client outcomes framework, and now we measure outcomes across all of our programs. And, you know, it's really core to the research and evaluation work that we do here at Redcoat. And I just want to give a massive shout out to the fantastic research and evaluation team, and past and present, and to my colleague, Dr. Aden Robinson, who has really helped us and worked really closely with our lived experience advisory group, who, through sharing their stories and experiences, has allowed us to develop greater outcomes for our clients and has really made this collaboration possible. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, and congratulations, Joanne. And so, drum roll, we come towards announcing the winner, and it's so fantastic to be shortlisted and to win these awards, and certainly we've benefited from that, and it's just fantastic that SIMNA is so generous around how they allow advertising and promotion of everybody. So that's just a fantastic opportunity. So if you haven't put in for an award before, I really encourage you to do so. Okay, and so on to the winner. So here's the judges' feedback. So this is what they've said. Strong components of your application include your description of how you determined what was important to measure. I love that the framework is strongly informed by the voices of your beneficiaries and the coordinators that work with them. Another key strength of your application is the fact that your findings have been publicly shared, both in the form of information available to the wider public and academic articles. And with no further ado, I am very excited to announce the winner, which is the Monash Business School for measuring the impact of the One Box programme. So I'll say that again, the Monash Business School for measuring the impact of the One Box programme. And I will hand over to Professor Ralph Kober from Monash Business School.
Oh, thank you very much. And we're surprised, honoured to be given this award. So I'd like to thank SIMNA and their judges, and to thank the One Box for inviting us on this journey. So we started on the journey with the One Box in early 2020, and it's been a great privilege to be involved with this really innovative food relief charity to develop a framework for them that has allowed them to measure their impact. And as per the panel session before, it really has been a translation exercise that's allowed the organisation to have a way of communicating the impacts that they have on their beneficiaries, which has allowed the One Box to actually grow due to its donations increasing. So thank you very much again, and we're very privileged to have won this.
Congratulations to the winner and runners-up for the Collaboration Award. And next is the Innovation in Social Impact Measurement Award. We'll take a look at the pitch videos from our 5 finalists: Goal College, Hayball and Australian Social Value Bank, Kawa Collaboration, Reach Out, and YMCA Victoria. Then we'll invite Caroline Tomicek, Director at Urbis, to announce the winners and runners-up. Here are the pitch videos.
Hi everybody, my name is Kate O'Donnell and I'm the principal at Goal College. Our school exists to challenge the paradigm of what senior schooling should look like in Australian schools. We believe not only in striving for academic success, but in finding ways to measure the impact that we can have as educators on the lives of young people. We enrol students who want something very different from school, and our Measure What Matters suite is an attempt to actually capture some of the work and the impact that we are having on the lives of young people, particularly on the lives of young students who are at high risk of not completing Year 12. What we believe we have done is found a way to genuinely measure longitudinally the change in students' attitudes to learning and their belief in themselves. This is something that everybody in education values, but often says is too hard to measure. So we are really excited to be among such illustrious company as finalists and looking forward to a great evening. Thanks, everyone.
Architects across Australia share a common goal: to create the best places for communities. But how do we know that our designs improve people's well-being? We noticed the gap. We saw that there was no established method to measure the social value in design. So, we collaborated with the Australian Social Value Bank to undertake a pilot study to develop a framework and measure the social value created in Courtyard, our residential project in Nightingale Village. Winning the SIMNA Innovation Award would launch our framework into the spotlight to help us share this work with others. If adopted, the potential impact is huge. Architects could champion design features which generate the greatest social value, or governments could foresee the social value created in major developments for communities. Winning this award wouldn't just be for us, but we believe that measuring social value has the power to transform the industry. Thank you, SIMNA, on behalf of Hable and the ASVB. We'd like to congratulate all our fellow finalists.
Hi, I'm Hayley Ferguson. I'm a project lead with COA Collaboration. COA means purpose in a Wabakal language. In 2022, COA had the privilege to connect with the Bendigo District Aboriginal Cooperative. We walked alongside that team and built an evaluation toolbox. And in that toolbox, it included a theory of change and an M&E framework. And within that M&E framework, it incorporated truth-telling indicators and communities' measures of success.
Hi, we're Dak, Bendigo District Aboriginal Co-op, and we created the first ever Aboriginal therapeutic day rehab in Victoria. It's called Barrangarrick, which means our journey. My name's Danny and I'm the Program Manager of Wellbeing.
I'm Jade, I'm the Female Case Manager Facilitator for Barrangarrick.
I'm Chris, I'm the Coordinator for Barrangarrick.
I'm Zane, I'm an AD trainee.
Barrangarrick is a healing program for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community, and I'd just like to thank COA for all the amazing work they did in the evaluation, and we learnt lots from it.
My name's Natalie and this is Karen and we're from Reach Out. For those of you who aren't across Reach Out, we're a leading online youth mental health service that supports young people to feel better.
Reach Out services are purely digital and self-directed. So deciding how to measure the impact we have did present some challenges. We've had to be innovative and develop a completely new approach to measuring our value. There was nothing else around. Throughout our journey, we've applied the SVI principles and translated them into our unique requirements. This has helped us stay laser focused on understanding what actually changes for our service users. We've also been committed to moving beyond simply measuring our impact. We now have a suite of data touch points that we're using to improve our services and to prioritise our resources.
In Australia, 2 in 5 young people are experiencing mental health challenges. So it's never been more important to find support services that work. This work has helped us identify new opportunities to better support young people with their mental health and wellbeing. We're enormously proud of this work and we're really looking forward to sharing the results more widely in future.
Hi, I'm Ian Borman, Executive Manager of Impact at YMCA Victoria. We are very excited the YVIC Social Impact Strategy has been shortlisted as a finalist in this year's SIMNA Awards. Our social impact strategy is focused around measuring against 5 key social outcomes, those being physical well-being, mental well-being, connection and belonging, future-ready skills, youth voice and empowerment. We measure across our 7 service lines, and we also create Power BI dashboards for the use of our managers, executive and our board to help us make evidence-based decision-making. Our work also supports our advocacy work and most importantly, keeps us honest and accountable as an organisation who is after making the most social impact in our community. Thanks so much for listening.
Hi everyone, I'm going to keep this relatively quick as an introduction because my internet has been not my friend today, but I'm a director in the Economic and Social Advisory team at Urbis, and I have the pleasure of presenting the Innovation Award And just a really short reflection, I think that of all the directors in my business unit, I think I'm the one who has been least involved in impact measurement, very much a traditional researcher and evaluator. And I've just found this whole process to be so rewarding. I think just learning about and the innovation and the way in which these organisations have embedded impact measurement into their business and into their organisations has been so inspiring for me. And I'm really excited to be able to share the winners with you. So I believe I just move on to the first runner-up announcement. I was involved in the judging of this category too, and Laura has very kindly included my quotes. I'm going to identify myself as the judge whose feedback you're about to hear. So in terms of the first runner-up, it was such a pleasure to learn about this truly innovative evidence-based approach to measuring and teaching learning outcomes. I was especially impressed by the fearless way in which findings were shared with teachers, parents and other stakeholders, putting students squarely at the centre of their education. So it will come no surprise to you that the first runner-up is Goal College, and so I'd like to invite Kate, just absolutely amazing project, Kate, to make her acceptance speech.
Thank you so much. And thank you to SIMNA and to the evaluation panel. As a self-confessed data nerd, I'm absolutely delighted to have been shortlisted and to be a runner-up. It's fantastic. I have to recognise my incredible team of teachers and administrators and support people and our funders who actually help us and enable Goal College to disrupt entrenched negative patterns, to achieve great things and to celebrate student success. This is a really highly valued moment for us as a recognition of the hard work and the passion that my team bring to the work of transforming the lives of at-risk young people. Really, as I said, so delighted, incredibly illustrious company that we're in, and thank you so much.
Great, absolutely amazing work, Kate. I couldn't agree more. I think the hard work of your team really shows through in your application and approach. All right, moving on. Runner-up number 2. Here is the judges' feedback. You highlight an interesting application of a social impact measurement framework in a digital health service setting with a specific challenge, anonymous users. The application provides examples of an innovative use of analytics and measurement tools to track outcome domains identified as important by all stakeholders. So really would love to welcome Reach Out Social Impact Framework representatives Natalie and Karen from Reach Out to accept this award.
Hi, thank you so much. We're so grateful to win this award. It's a really big honour, especially in light of all the other finalists in this category. It was really competitive. We really want to, this is really important confirmation of the approach that we've taken with this work, particularly in light of the challenges that we face as a digital mental health organisation. And it also, in terms of also the journey that we've taken the organisation on in terms of this social impact measurement journey, building literacy around that and building our practice. We want to thank everyone that works at Reach Out in particular in helping build this framework, especially our business intelligence team, our services team, who we worked really closely with, our content creators, our product team, our service design team, and also our marketing team, and young people as well within that. It was a real collaborative effort, and it was amazing to have such an engaged and passionate group of colleagues to work with.
I also want to thank our CEO, Ash De Silva, for his incredible leadership. His commitment to developing the social impact framework and resourcing the work that we've done, and his support for the work has been incredible and instrumental in us getting to where we have in the year that we've been doing this. And to thank our funders, both government and non-government, but also all the young people, the people with lived experience of mental health conditions, their parents and carers, including all those in our Reach Out team. So thank you.
Great, amazing work again, and thank you, Natalie and Karen, for those incredibly moving words. Okay, well, now down to the big one. So I'll just start by reading the feedback. Again, I'm identifying this as my feedback. And, I think it was just such a pleasure to read about the efforts made by HIBOR and ASBB to develop an approach to measuring the social impact of built form decisions. As some of you might know, the company I work for, Urbis, works primarily in the built environment, and it's something we think about all the time. We think about how do we measure the impact of design decisions, and I cannot tell you how excited I was to read about the approach taken by HIBOR and by ASBB. I felt like it was genuinely innovative and even groundbreaking. I felt like it was something I had never seen before, and that the impact could be increasingly relevant, but also in terms of the construction industry, and as we start to grapple with ESG, it really will just help to guide government decision making. So really excited, and could not be more excited to announce HIBOR and ASBB as the winner, and looking forward to hearing from them and also to their future work. So I'll hand over now.
Hi, thanks Caroline, thank you so much for your handover. I'm genuinely so surprised that we won, so I'm sorry I'm a bit flustered. My name's Eilish, I'm from HIBOR Architects, and I'm representing HIBOR and ASBB. I'm genuinely honoured and humbled to have won the Innovation Award. This recognition is a celebration of the collaborative effort and commitment to measuring the impact of architecture and design on people's well-being. This research really is in its early phases, but it was born out of a deep conviction that the decisions of architects impact inhabitants. So by receiving this award, we hope that we'll use this opportunity to connect with experts nationally and globally to make measuring social value for architects genuinely more accessible. Congratulations to all the other finalists. Your work is really inspiring. And thank you to the residents of Courtyard for their time and the ASBB for their collaboration. And thank you so much for SIMNA for this amazing acknowledgement. Thanks.
Congratulations to the winner and runners-up for the Innovation Award. Now let's move on to the final award, Excellence in Social Impact Measurement. This category will be presented by Lou Campbell, Director of Consulting at Social Ventures Australia. That's a slip-up. We do quite a lot at SIMNA, Social Ventures Australia. Let's take a look at the pitch videos from our 4 finalists: Anglicare WA, For Purpose Evaluations and Guide Dogs Australia, Milk Crate Theatre, and the Salvation Army. Following that, Lou will announce the winners and the runners-up.
Hi, my name is Marsha Reed, and I'm the Outcomes Lead at Anglicare WA. On behalf of the organisation, I would like to express our gratitude for being shortlisted in the Excellence in Social Impact category. As the largest community services provider in Western Australia, it is fundamental that we understand our impact and hold ourselves accountable, which is why Anglicare WA has committed the time and resources to the development of our Outcomes Measurement Framework, or OMF. The OMF has been a labour of love and is the culmination of years of development done in consultation with stakeholders across all levels of the organisation. It helps us to measure what matters, tell stories about our social impact statewide, and understand the extent to which we are achieving our organizational purpose and vision of driving positive outcomes with those in need, so that we live in a just and fair Western Australia where everyone can thrive. In addition to helping Anglicare WA drive outcomes, we hope that the OMF can be an example to other organizations in the sector as they embark on their social impact journey. Thank you, and good luck to our fellow nominees.
Hello, my name is Eleanor, and I'm the founder of For Purpose Evaluations. I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that this work was completed on. Working with Guide Dogs Australia has been a huge honour. We are incredibly grateful to SIMNA for acknowledging our joint commitment to creating and measuring meaningful social impact.
Hi, I'm Jock Beveridge, CEO of Guide Dogs Queensland and executive sponsor of the Guide Dogs Australia Social Impact Project. Guide Dogs Australia brings together 4 separate organisations across 6 states and territories. In addition to guide dogs, we provide many services for blind and vision impaired Australians, including occupational therapy, psychology, and orientation and mobility. Over the past 2 years, we've developed a national social impact measurement framework, which allows us to know if our services are achieving the intended outcomes for clients, their families, and caregivers. Importantly, it tells us both where we are doing well and where we can do better and improve our services. Bringing our 4 unique and complex organisations together from across Australia was a challenge and required a high level of creativity and consultation to allow us to develop a cohesive framework. I want to thank every staff member, volunteer and client who participated in the development of this impressive piece of work.
A key part of this work was amplifying the voices of people with low vision and blindness. This is the work of an entire community, and it has been developed with accessibility at its heart. We want to thank and acknowledge guide dogs for their commitment to continuous improvement and their courage in sharing their social impact findings so widely. We are grateful to be partnered with them.
It's been a delight working with Eleanor and the FPE team these past couple of years. Thank you to SIMNA for the opportunity to showcase our work.
Milk Crate Theatre has been around for 24 years, working directly with communities with lived experience of homelessness, mental ill health and disability. We exist to improve confidence, connection, build up life skills, and ultimately challenge societal perceptions. We developed our impact framework and went for it, surveying, interviewing, releasing reports, impact presentations, and initiating a sector-wide project in 2024. We found that our strongest results were improvements in feeling connected to others and self-worth.
It's given me access to a whole new world, that I've been looking for quite a while.
A place to catch up with friends, laugh, giggle, and then laugh some more.
We should win this award because at first the arts and impact seemed impossible. But in our short time doing this, we have released 3 public impact reports, surveyed over 200 individuals, and have finally been able to prove the value of the arts for communities, which is so often overlooked.
The Salvation Army Youth Services offer an integrated suite of targeted programs engaging with young people across Australia on their journey to independence.
Our journey to social impact with youth services started in 2021. We prioritized relationship building, taking the time to really understand how our services operated, the existing data systems in place, the desirable outcomes from our stakeholders, and funding and contractual requirements. As of July 2023, the Youth Outcomes Project have been implemented nationwide. Across all programs, all young people are supported to achieve success in the following key outcome domains. Additional program-specific measures have been added to targeted interventions such as alcohol and other drug programs and driver training programs. Youth Outcome Measurements is fully integrated within our client database system, SAMIS. SAMIS also has the functionality to export outcomes data to government systems such as DSS, SHS, and AIHW, allowing for a single system across multiple funders. This work would not have been possible without the support of the Youth Services team and young people.
Hey there, Sarah. Thanks very much for having me. As Sarah said, my name is Lou Campbell from Social Ventures Australia. I'm coming to you from Gamaragal country, part of the Eora Nation, so I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land. SVA is really proud to be a partner of the SIMNA Awards, and just to kind of give a couple of thoughts about that the role of impact measurement. Our team's been privileged to walk alongside nearly 150 different client projects over the past 2 years as our clients explore what impact measurement means for them and what that will look like for them. And for us, it's really exciting to be witnessing ongoing progress and growth across the social sector in measuring impact. And I guess some of the reflections for us is that excellence, which is the naming of this award, can come in many, many forms, and be delighted to give some of the feedback in a moment about our runners-up and winner. But I think just 3 reflections from SVA are based on our experience, where we sort of see things that look excellent, often where an outcomes framework, a theory of change, really firstly can tell a story, capture the voices, and can feel very real, tells us about the nature of a program or organisation. Secondly, it's often a kind of real thoughtfulness about implementation and what it really means to be able to gather this information, particularly for those who are working with end beneficiaries at the front line. And I guess the third feature often is about organisations really taking forward the insights from impact measurement so that they are learning and improving rather than perfecting the art of data capture. So they're just some reflections from us at SBA, but I'm not going to dilly-dally any further and going to move on to tell you a little bit about our first runner-up. So the judges' feedback was this well-written, clearly articulated application clearly demonstrated the value of embedding impact measurement into implementation with allowances to measure ongoing success of individual initiatives as well as overall performance. I was impressed by the feedback loop and the way in which measurement was tailored to requirements of the arts sector. Well done. So that's probably obvious that the first runner-up is Milk Crate Theatre for the Milk Crate Theatre Social Impact.
Hi, how are you? I'm Jess. Thank you so much. We feel super honoured. I'd like to say thank you to SIMNA, to the judging panel and the other finalists in this category. This recognition feels like not only an achievement for Milk Crate Theatre, but for the arts sector and how important and valuable it is for Australian communities, especially those with diverse lived experiences. And this acknowledgement makes us just want to go further, achieve more, and advocate for social impact measurement across arts and cultural organisations and communities nationally. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Very excited for you, Jess, and for Milk Crate Theatre. So that takes us on to our second runner-up. And the judges' feedback was, overall, a great application. You clearly described how your National Outcomes Measurement Framework was designed, what its purpose is, and how the framework has been applied to date. The process demonstrates rigour and a strong focus on using data for improvement. Compelling evidence regarding how your measurement, evaluation and learning process is leading to outcomes for young people is provided in the supporting evidence, which shows a good mix of quantitative and qualitative data, including a case study. So I'm delighted to announce that the second runner-up is the Salvation Army for the Salvation Army's National Youth Services Outcome Measurement. So handing over to Lee Kwan from the Salvation Army.
Hey everyone, my name is Lee and I work as part of the research team for the Salvation Army. I'll be sort of representing our team for this project. So obviously we're extremely honoured to be one of the run-ups for this extremely sort of competitive group that is around sort of measuring social impact. And we're really grateful and humble to sort of SIMNA for putting this on and acknowledging just the amazing work that everyone's doing. And obviously it's not a project that's sort of done alone, so I want to acknowledge and sort of thank my team, the Research Outcomes Measurement team within the Salvation Army, and all the work they've put into this, as well as the Youth Services team who've been sort of behind this from the very beginning a couple of years ago. So I want to thank everyone again, thank SIMNA for the award and for choosing us as the runner-up.
Huge congratulations to you, Lee, and your team. So the moment arrives, we're announcing the winner of the Excellence Award. So the feedback is, I love how this framework came together. It is informed by relevant research and the contributions and insights of staff. But more importantly, it genuinely builds on the experiences and insights of users who are actively engaged in the co-design process. What I also really liked are the systems approach and the fact that there is a strong emphasis on learning and improvement and an openness around sharing what isn't going well and why. A final strong point about this application is that findings aren't just shared internally, but also with the wider community. So I'm delighted to announce that the winner is For Purpose Evaluations for Guide Dogs Australia Social Impact Measurement Framework. And I think we're going to be handing over to Eleanor now.
Thank you so much, everyone. Congratulations to all the other finalists. What a group to be a part of. I am so, so proud to be here and to be the winners today. It means the world to me, and I know it means the world to the brilliant team at FPE to have our work recognised like this. We are really delighted. I would like to acknowledge the FPE team members who were the core contributors to this project, Sam Cooper and Jenna McDonald. Their work is truly excellent, and I'm very grateful to work alongside them and everyone in our FPE team every day. We have a pretty good time. I also want to thank and acknowledge the huge effort and commitment from guide dogs. This is a framework with accessibility at its heart. The contributions from staff, volunteers and clients from across Australia have strengthened, deepened and refined the work into something that we really can celebrate. Their courage in committing to the process of impact measurement, sharing their results so openly with a genuine curiosity and intention to improve their services deserves this acknowledgement today. Guide dogs provide so many services, not just those gorgeous dogs, to people with low vision and blindness all across Australia. And their commitment to providing the skills, resources and opportunities for all people to live the life they want is so inspiring. And it has been a privilege to collaborate with an organisation that does such great work. Thank you, and thank you to SIMNA for this acknowledgement today. I'm just really, really happy.
Okay, congratulations to the runners-up and winners of the Excellence Award. So before we wrap up, I would like to pass on some thank yous. It takes a lot to bring these awards together. So thanks to everyone involved. The list is long. First, we'd like to thank this year's judging panel. The judging process involved 7 volunteer judges who worked in alternating pairs to encourage transparency and balanced application of the judging criteria. We thank you for your time, expertise and the feedback given to everyone that entered this year's awards. We'd also like to thank the sponsors, Department of Social Services, Clear Horizon, Urbis's Social and Economic Advisory Unit, SVA Consulting and Smarty Grants. Without this sponsorship, we would not be able to put on these awards, which showcase the very best in Australian social impact measurement. And thanks very much to Jess, Caroline and Lou for presenting the awards this afternoon. We'd also like to thank everyone who entered and congratulations to all the winners. And I'd like to pass on my personal thanks to Laura and Lisa who pulled the awards together. We invite you to complete a survey to provide feedback on this event. So you could use the QR code here, and there's also a link to the survey. If you go to the SIMNA website, go through to the 2023 awards page and go through to the link to the survey from there. We'd also like to encourage you to become a SIMNA member if you're not already. SIMNA will open your doorway to a vibrant network connecting you locally or online through regular events, seeing expert speakers, discussions and networking opportunities. It also links you into a lot of different resources to support your efforts in social impact measurement and also provides opportunities for you to share what you're doing and learning. So please visit the SIMNA website if you'd like to learn more about what we do and how to join. And thank you all for joining this awards ceremony. We hope you've enjoyed it. And we look forward to seeing you again in 2024. This brings our proceedings to a close. Have a great afternoon.